before you start?
Oh, that's what I forgot to ask.
You do?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Rachel.
Please.
Sorry I didn't ask.
It's all right.
Dang it,
Sure, you're changing the name of her company.
That's right, yes.
All right, we're good to go.
The Sara Ortlip Pilates Company.
We just have to hold
Correct.
each other's hands and pray like we normally do before we start. God bless. All right.
We're ready.
Watch, toward the end of the show, he holds hands and starts
Just
chanting.
Ryan
He and
on
Ryan,
this.
they start chanting.
Weird.
Going live. Okay, I'm live.
Okay.
Here we go.
And Facebook is on,
Let's get this way a little bit. There we go.
so we're ready to roll.
Yeah, as long as you speak into the mic. So if you're talking out here, it's gonna sound like
I
you're.
know.
Yeah, get real close to the microphone.
Welcome to the 101, brought to you by Whiteside, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. I'm Michael Morris with my good friend, Dr. Ryan Brown.
Hey man, happy 2020. Here we are. We
You
made
didn't need to remind me. 2019, we ended on a really high note. I can't even remember who the guests were in December, but it was really strong. Jim's making a face. He's unhappy.
Yeah, okay, we're going to have to start again because your microphone is not working. Once again,
Thanks,
we're having problems with his
What'd you
microphone,
do?
so I'm going to have to.
What did
No,
you
I didn't do.
Jimmy?
I didn't do anything. It's sometimes that microphone
I
does
didn't mean
not
you
work.
actually, Jimmy.
So we're going to have to bring this microphone back. It's not my fault, but you can go ahead and blame me.
No, we're fine. I'm gonna have to reach in front of you, or there we go.
Yeah, sometimes this microphone is it's testy. This microphone.
Both of them.
So sometimes it works and sometimes
That's not funny.
it
Oh
does
my
not.
God.
It stopped working in the middle of about 3 months ago. It stopped working in the middle of a show for about 30 seconds. It just completely cut off.
Blue Chew, it's
Poor Jeff. But Jeff speaks loudly enough that we could
He
would-
shouts.
yeah, we could hear him on the other microphones.
It's like hate speech. Okay. You ready again?
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Have you ever seen anything so professional?
Oh,
Yeah.
trust me.
I just want everyone to be heard.
No, we're good.
I didn't
Should
want
we
to keep
test this?
going and have Michael sound like this and everyone else sound like this.
It's okay to like that. Jimmy,
I'm
should
always
we
moving
test this
around,
mic
so
to
as
see
long
if
as
it's
you're-
working?
You can move
No,
it.
I know it's
Okay.
working.
Okay. No editing. Straight through. Welcome to the 101, brought to you by Whiteside, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. I'm Michael Morris with my good friend Ryan Brown. Dr. Ryan Brown, that is. Doctor, how are you?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Now, normally, Rachel left the room, but I thought it was funny where sometimes we bring someone and Ryan goes, why in the hell is this person here? And we let Ryan start the first show of the year bringing somebody, and I just can't wait to say this name, Sara Ortlip from Sara Ortlip Pilates, which I have slaughtered 30 times before we started. Sarah, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. Now, Ryan, how do you two know each other? What networking event were you at that Pilates was involved?
No, actually, it's great. Speaking of like the last few shows, we've been talking about a lot of social media and Instagram and networking that way. I think just through social media, I see her post. I can't go online without seeing her information, her name, and her videos popping up. So, of course, I had to reach out and see what it's all about.
Now, did you guys know each other before this?
No, but we have
Well,
some
not
mutual
before the show, yes, but
friends.
yeah.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean she just walked in here off the
Yeah.
street. So you have mutual friends, but how are you seeing her? Because I had this conversation this morning, how people don't understand how social media like connects us, because they're just thinking about a friends list and all that kind of thing. But you do see other people's posts that you're not even friends with, especially their business posts.
Sure. Well, I mean, I have Fit Minds, which is a coaching company and deals with wellness to an extent. And that's what she has. I mean, she's got a wellness company. And so through social media, you tend to become friends with a lot of like-minded people, and everyone sort of, just like an insurance agent may network with, another agent, things like that. So just through the interwebs, life brings you together, and like attracts like, and there you are.
Now, Sarah, I have a question for you. Do you find it odd when somebody you don't know reaches out to you through social media?
No, actually that's how I've generated all of my business.
I don't mean the DM part. I can see that. I'm saying because a lot of people, I think, are using social media. There are some individuals, like entrepreneurs like yourself, that are using it the correct way, but there are some people that are using it more to kind of justify their purpose of like, hey, look at me kind of thing. There's a lot of more people that want to be Gary Vee than do the work that Gary Vee is doing, if that makes sense. Do you know who that is, Gary Vee?
No, I don't.
My God, it's the first person on here. So Gary
I
V
don't
is
know
Gary
either.
Vaynerchuk. This is a lesson
Jim,
for everybody.
nobody knows who Gary Vee is.
Well, this is why this drives me nuts, because in the social media world, posting and all that, Gary V is a guy who tells you you need to get off your rear and go do this and swears a lot. He doesn't give you the answer, but everybody wants to be that person, right? They want to be that person that's well known and he's hanging out with big celebrities and all that stuff. At the end of the day, what does he do? He has a wine company and he has an SEO company. So Mountain Dew will give him $14 million because they go, everybody knows who you are, so you must know what you're doing. That's why I think that somebody can exist, they can make a lot of money if they navigate this thing the right way. What I want to know is, from your perspective, Sarah, is that you probably get a lot of people that are commenting about you personally. How do you get them to do business with you?
Well, I try to approach it like this. I try to put content out there that is educational. So I might break down an exercise fundamentally and functionally, or just anytime I post, somebody is likely to reach out and say, oh, I want to do what you're doing, I want to learn more. And then we usually message and I get them in as a client. So that's truly
Well, and before we-
how I built.
Yeah, before we get into like a lot of that, like what is it that you actually do? What's your company?
So my company is simply my name, Sara Ortlip Pilates. Pilates is a discipline. It's an exercise regimen. I utilize the reformers primarily in my studio to...
And what's a reformer?
So a
Come
reformer...
on, you know what that is. Go ahead and explain it for us.
No, a reformer is an apparatus. It's a machine, which you do not plug in, but a machine nonetheless that was designed by a man named Joseph Pilates back in the early 1900s, and it's used to help facilitate movements that you initiate from your core and your powerhouse, which are your abdominals, your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, your breath. It's used to use controlled movements, articulate movements, without using momentum.
Now, were you always involved in fitness and wellness, or how'd you transition into Pilates? I mean, to start a Pilates business, you had to be very passionate about Pilates?
I really hope the answer is I used to install carpet. And I want it to be something so off the beaten path.
Yeah, because that's kind of, how do you get involved in Pilates, let alone, say I'm going to make this my business versus, hey, I'm going to open up an exercise place that offers Pilates.
It's kind of a crazy story, but I've actually been doing Pilates since I was a kid. Long story short, my mom was always into fitness and wellness, and I learned from a young age just through books that she had at home. And it really wasn't until I was a little bit older, I was a diver, and I was always involved in gymnastics. I was doing mat Pilates, that's Pilates on a mat, not on a reformer. I was doing Pilates before I really knew what it was. And then it wasn't until I was 21 that I started using the reformer and kind of practiced off and on with the reformer. And about 7 years ago, I decided, this has really helped me a lot with recovery, injuries I've had, C-sections after having kids, all that kind of stuff, back injuries, concussions, etc.
What are you doing?
I'll tell you more
Pilates is a tough gig.
Right? No,
Well, yeah.
But it's
I'm on the
helped.
reformer. I got knocked down.
It's helped me recover from injuries, and that's why I became so passionate about it. And I love the fitness aspect of it as well. It incorporates every single muscle in your body, and so I decided to get certified in it. And then I just built this clientele, and I had more business than I knew what to do with. And an opportunity came up about 1.5 years ago, and I looked at this little studio space in Grandview, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take a risk. I'll rent this little space half-time, share it with the girl who was working out of it, rented her equipment, and worked there like 3 to 4 days a week, and continued to build my client base. And here I am.
Here you are in the studio.
A lot of in between, but yeah.
What was your background before you did this? I mean, did you work in corporate America and then?
I did.
Because we have not met anybody who's like, I just graduated high school and I was like, I had this ambition, I'm going to do it. Everybody seems to go into a corporation and go, boy, this sucks. And then, but it takes them a while to figure out where they want to go on their own, right?
Yeah.
So what was your background before you did this? Or were you always just reforming?
No, I was not always reforming. So I had a passion for anatomy. I started off in college as a biology major, wanted to be a marine biologist. And then my second year of college, I went to art school, and then I decided I was going to combine the two passions into science textbook and medical illustration. So I came to OSU, and they had done away with the program that was going to line up my two passions. And then I decided to fall back on fine arts. So long story short, I went to school, graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and 9/11 happened, and all of the creative jobs were basically nixed. Right. So I went into real estate.
That is a natural transition. I want to do something like dance, and I'm going to sell this apartment complex.
So I got my real estate license. Back up for a hot second. While I was in college, I worked at a natural food store. So I did have a business background just from working in that industry, and also it was a way for me to like pursue my wellness passion as well. So got my real estate license and went to work for a couple brokers and then for a builder in town. So I was able to really create, more of a knowledge base in business from real estate, from working in the health food industry, and then I had my first child and stayed at home, went back to work for a little bit, worked in marketing and graphic design, and then had my second child, decided to stay at home, and that's when I decided, hey, I've got time to pursue something that I'm passionate about, and I was doing a lot of Pilates at the time, and decided to get certified. And then I started working. I was really fulfilled by it, and like I said, my client base continued to grow. I was working and teaching at multiple studios, not just Pilates studios, but other fitness studios, and that's really how I got my start.
So you kind of got to ease into this, but it took you time, like you got to learn the business aspect from different fields.
Absolutely.
That you could apply to now.
Absolutely.
Did your college degree mean a whole lot to you?
Absolutely.
I mean, did that prepare you for what you're doing now? I'm not knocking college degrees.
No.
One of the things that I find, like, I have a communications degree from Liberal Arts University, and what that means is I can teach English to people. That never did anything for me. The only thing it did was to separate me from somebody that didn't have a degree. There's always two piles. People that have a degree, the ones that don't but have experience, and they'll typically, that kind of gets you in the door. You have to do the rest yourself. But your fine arts degree to go into real estate, that probably was, it probably shows that at least you had a degree, you would finish something. I just wonder if they were like, can't wait to introduce you to a new person. She's very good at drawing.
So, on the contrary, I chose art school because it's problem solving, and that's what a lot of people lose sight of. I feel like it's important to be able to draw from all of your experiences, even the tough ones, especially the tough ones. So I've always been somebody who's tried to learn as much as I can about everything, and art school was important because it taught me problem solving, time management. I had to really create discipline for myself, manage my time, a lot of sacrifices. It wasn't just oh, I'm going to draw this pretty picture. It was, okay, I've got a project start to finish, and it might mean staying up for 5 nights in a row and then scrapping it at the last second and redoing it. And it's all different mediums. So anyway, definitely it's helped me. And if you look at my logo, it has art running down the center of it. And art is not just a 2-dimensional thing. It's very 3-dimensional to me. I ended up graduating in ceramics, mostly sculpture. And movement is art. It's part of the arts. So what I do, I consider an art. And I take a lot of photos and videos, and composition is an integral part of my business. And that's what I think draws people into my social media pages. They see something that captures their attention. It draws them in.
Well, that's one of the things that I notice, because, you know, I see a lot of people who want to be a trainer, or they are a trainer, and they work for a company, you know, work for Lifetime Fitness or whatever, and they make a certain hourly wage doing their work, doing their training. But to go off and do your own business, there's a lot that goes into it than just knowledge on the anatomy of the body and how it moves and the physiology behind everything. You have to know how to get clients. And when you work for a big box space, you know, if somebody's out there like, you know, I'm a trainer at so-and-so gym, there's people coming into that gym that you have to pull from. So if you're doing a Pilates class at Lifetime Fitness, I'm just throwing out a big box there, and, you know, Lifetime Fitness is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing to make sure that members are walking through the door, and then you have all of those people to teach and to pull from and to sell classes to, etc. But when you're out on your own, you know, how do you touch those people? How do you get people to know who you are, believe in what you do, you know what you do, and then get them to pay you for your services? And I know, talking to you, and that's why one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because I'd say probably 99% of your business comes from social media, or what did you say percentage?
From referrals.
From referrals.
Yeah. I just have a strong relationship with my clients. I don't want my clients to just come in one and done. Oh, I'm here for a free class, and then they leave, they disappear. I develop strong relationships with my clients, and I think that's one of the things that's brought me so much success. They've seen changes in their bodies. It's very much about them. I keep it very small, very boutique. I have 4 reformers.
You must be good at what you do, because if somebody's coming back and they're referring you people, they're getting results.
Correct.
And they're enjoying what they do.
Correct.
And so, you know, if I go out and install a bunch of windows on a house and the customer has a bad experience, the product doesn't work well, of course they're never coming back to me for any businesses, whether they buy a new house or they need a door for their home or something. But they're definitely not referring me anybody. If anything, they're telling people, yeah, no, don't use those people, maybe do some shopping around. So based on your business being referral based and online, you know, what's the number one thing that you focus on when a customer comes in? Like, what are you trying to set a certain experience? Is that your intention, or you want to give them results, or is it all the above?
It's definitely a combination. I have a conversation with them about what their goals are, what they want to achieve. Some people come to me simply for a calorie burn, or because they have certain aesthetic goals. Some people come to me because they've been injured and they need therapeutic movement, or they were referred to me by a doctor to help them strengthen their core and alleviate back pain or increase their shoulder mobility. And then it just progresses from there. I think
Do you think? Well, my one of my main questions is do people come to you and do you work with them to set goals, or do you have more of a class feel to it?
So I offer both classes, but about 95% of my business is private training.
Gotcha.
So the classes I offer, I have about 5 to 7 during the week, group classes that people can sign up for. The rest are managed privately. So whether that's a one-on-one session or a private group
Right.
session. It's targeted for the individual. But even in the group classes, they get very specialized,
Yeah.
very specific attention.
So like when you're working in the real estate and you're getting into business and you're learning different things, you're working with big builders and things like that. When did you get to that point where you're like, I don't want to do that? I mean, I know you said you had a kid, you had some time, and you're sitting at home and you're thinking about things. Did you not want to go back and do that? Did you have a passion for, like, I want to get away from this? Was there something that pushed you into wanting to start your own, Pilates studio, or what did that look like?
Well, I love movement. I don't like sitting idle. I don't like sitting still. And in most of the jobs I've had before, you're at a desk, you're seated, there's little movement, and
She's describing what we're doing now. I just realized I hate it. We're doing this for now.
yeah, I'm somebody where I when I exercise, when I move my body, when I just simply go for a walk, that's when my brain lights up. That's when I feel like I'm able to solve problems and really accomplish things. I feel, in a lot of the jobs I've had in the past, there's so much idle time. It's not always an efficient use of time. There's just a lot of downtime, and it wasn't as fulfilling to me. And I don't know, I think I had a lot of time to reflect when I was at home with my kids, and realizing, gosh, there's something more. There's something I feel like I really want to do. There's a better use of my skills, and I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, and I didn't just like wake up one day and say, I want to open a Pilates studio. It was a natural progression, but I did know for several years that was the track I wanted to be on. I just didn't know how to get there. I feel like it was a timing thing, where I just kept working at it, and one day I woke up and I had the client base, and it was just really time. It was really like the universe pushing me out of the nest and into this next step.
Was it scary?
Of course, yeah. It was scary, but I was really lucky because, as I mentioned before, I was able to ease into it, taking a very minimal risk, where I was sharing the space with another instructor, renting her equipment. So it's not like I had all of this overhead. It was a really good stepping stone, where I was able to get my feet wet. I had a lot of clients who were able to come with me. Most of my business was focused on the north end of town, and then coming down to Grandview. I didn't have a huge client base down here, but I did have some from other studios I had taught at previously who did follow me, and some people who did follow me from the north end, and then I continued to just increase my client base just from putting it out there on social media. So it was scary, but as I grew my business, I knew that the girl who I was sharing the space with was going to eventually be leaving. I just wasn't exactly sure when, and it was about 6 months after I started sharing the studio with her that she announced, okay, I'm gonna leave. The space is yours if you want it. And I was like, okay.
That means more money you're going to have to spend.
But yeah, more money that I was going to spend, and I was like, all right, well, now or never, It's just the opportunity presents itself, and it's not like I'm necessarily going to have this chance again. So, yeah, I went to my bank, got a small loan, ordered all the equipment I wanted, outfitted the studio how I envisioned it, and it was full time. I just kind of budgeted,
So this is all you do, 100%, you're on your own.
100% of what I do, yeah.
That was a nervous laugh. I just told I can't believe I'm doing it.
I wake up sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
We went from like having fun and doing something creative and helping people to like, oh my gosh, like sink or swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hustle.
It is a hustle. but I love it. It's very rewarding, and you know, if I want to take a vacation, I can take a vacation, but I mean, most of the time, I mean, I'm working every single day.
And you're up, when do you start your day?
I get up usually at 4 a.m. every morning.
That's refreshing.
That's when Michael goes to bed.
So I usually start my first clients at either 5:15 or 5:30 a.m. and that's 4 to 5 times a week that I train that early. And if I don't have a client that early, I'm usually working out for myself that early.
Are you taking clients now?
Yes, a few.
Because before we go to break, perfect time to plug. If somebody is interested in seeing you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can reach out to me through Instagram. They can DM me through my Instagram. They can also
What's your Instagram?
text me. My Instagram is my name, Sara, Sara _Ortlip, ORTLIP _Pilates, PILATES. So they can also reach out to me through my phone number. Am I allowed to give that on air?
If it's your phone number, of course.
All right,
I wouldn't
so-
give my phone number, but you can give any information that you want. This is a plug for you.
All right, so my phone number is 614-404-0485, and texting is usually best. It's impossible for me to answer calls while I'm training people, but
I can't wait to see the text messages that you get.
right? I have to change my number.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think that's the first time that somebody's given their phone number out on the air, and I'm just like,
Well, that's why I asked.
No,
that's good.
but
It's
But
your
I'm a
business phone number.
business, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go.
Okay, well, we're going to go to break, and then we'll be back with more with Sarah and Dr. Ryan Brown. You're listening to 101, brought to you by Whiteside Chrysler Dodge Jeep. I'm telling you, you're just going to get some random, hey, look at this. Oh my God, a baby's arm.
Yeah,
So-
I always get some randos.
So that's what, when you said the DM, I was like, I don't know about that. At least you didn't make your handle very hard. What is it? Sarah _ what? There's a lot of underscore.
Ortlip
Nope,
_Pilates.
I'm not underscoring it. I'll do everything else but that.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, but like it's so outdated.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not so outdated.
There's
But,
still a 1971 car on there.
no, it's only like a year and a half old. But.
Where I want to go is I want to get into, you mentioned art, so I want to
Mhm.
kind of get into that piece.
Okay.
And so a lot of times when someone's listening to this, they're sitting back waiting for someone to be like, hey, you should start your own business. That's where I want to go. I want to go into how you started, like what did day one look like?
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to keep talking.
Day one of my studio, or day one of when I started teaching Pilates for another.
Of your studio. So when it's
Okay.
yours 100%, what
Okay.
does that look like? And then we'll just keep talking that way out.
From when I started it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Are you chasing Pokemon?
No, I'm deleting the first post that was when we had
Oh. We should
the
carry
microphones
around-
don't work.
Yeah.
I want to carry around the mic that keeps going out like it's like, you know, those guys are collecting skulls or something in The Witcher. I just want to carry
Right.
this mic. I killed it.
Hang it on your mirror in the
No,
car.
it's-
Yeah.
Blame me,
Wrap
it's my
around
fault.
like Bo Jackson. All right, you ready?
Blame me, it's my fault.
It's not your fault. The machines don't work.
Okay. He's getting his ready for the
No, we're
second
good.
half.
Oh, we're good.
His machine ready. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Whiteside Chrysler Dodge Jeep. I'm still Michael Morris. I'm still here with Dr. Ryan Brown, and I'm still here with Sara Ortlip of Sara _ Ortlip _ Pilates on Instagram. Did I get that right?
You did.
I'm not going to it because I'm not going to underscore that many things.
You know what though? You can just type in my name and it'll
Nope,
pop up.
not you already made
You're
it
not
too
doing any
hard.
Pilates this week?
Oh, I am, but I'm not
Oh.
going to go to her with all these underscores on your handle.
I just love how you thought I was bringing a pilot in today.
I was very excited. I was like, let me know what a flight to Iran costs. So here's
Yeah.
here's what I'd like to know, because we always like to talk about the first day somebody was in business. So Sara, first day, you take over. You know, did you remember what day it was? Was it a Monday? Was it a Friday?
It was Halloween.
Perfect day to start anything. Why not just start on Valentine's Day? You know, I mean.
Well, it was it didn't like, I didn't mean to start it on Halloween.
Nobody ever means to start anything on Halloween. There's a whole movie series of things that shouldn't start on Halloween. So you start, tell me that first day. Because you had to be so jacked about it, but you also had to be like, will anybody be here today?
Well, so here's how I consider my first day, okay? I had been teaching for a little while. I had been sharing the space of the studio, but I had ordered all of my own equipment, and it got delivered. And so I consider the first day was the day that I had set everything up and took my first client with my own equipment. That's what I consider my first day.
So what goes through your mind? Like, are you thinking about it while you're training this person and you're just like, this is really happening?
Yeah, surreal.
And so how do you look at, because everybody's first day, I can remember my first day. I didn't even have a computer. Like, I hadn't even thought that far ahead. I had a phone, like a desk phone, and nothing in the desk, and I was like, I'm just going to start calling. And I just wanted to get a meeting to make it feel like I did something today.
So he called me.
Yeah, I called Ryan, and Ryan, he said, I don't want anything. And I said, well, let's do a radio show 5 years from now. No, but I remember just calling, just wanting to justify what I did, because I had to fill that time. So when you have it first day, at the end of the day, you got a business now. And now you don't know where the end of this road is, you just know where the beginning is. Do you panic at all about it? Because a lot of people everybody that I meet is like, I want to do what you're doing, I want to do what Ryan's doing, whatever. And I always say they're waiting on permission. They're waiting on somebody to say, here's all you have to do. Follow this thing and you'll have a business. That's not really how it works, right?
No, and no.
Are you saying no?
It's not how it works, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people who start businesses by creating a business and creating a business plan and then building their client base. Mine happened a little backwards.
So did mine.
So.
Which I find that fantastic because I don't know anybody. Well, Ryan, you might have. I think you did a little bit of a business plan. You at least had a napkin with some crayon writing on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Most people, that when they put the business plan together, it's that thing that keeps them from starting right away, right? So I'll work on this thing for 6 months or a year. If you have the clients, you have a business. You just have to figure out how to build them.
Yeah.
In your business, I would think it would be so much. Maybe it's easier to get paid, but that would be the part that would worry me. Is I'm working with you every day. Like when you physically work with somebody versus you're digging a hole, it's completely different. I think you'd take it more personally on getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's people that probably still, like Ryan, probably tries to not pay for his sessions. Like, just come on my show.
Well, I know when I worked in the wellness industry, specifically dealing when I managed and I had a lot of trainers working under me, they call it personal training, and you get real personal with your clients. And the hardest thing that a lot of my trainers had to do was ask their customers that they become really close with for money, and sometimes they, hey, you owe me $50, or hey, you owe me $300, and do you think you can pay that? Because personal trainers get involved with it because they want to help people, and when they see someone who can't afford it or is being kind of unhonest with the payments, and then you don't want to be awkward and go try to collect from this person because now they're not going to want to come back for the next session.
Right.
And you've created some sort of weird block with your customer. In my business with windows, when the job's done, they pay me. Just like when you take your car to a mechanic, when it's done, they pay you.
But let's also be honest. You're not a big box store guy. You get involved with these. I've heard you on the phone
Sure.
with random strangers, and you're like, I would love to come over for Thanksgiving. You get so involved with people.
Right.
That's the part where there'd still be a piece of that where it's personal.
Right.
And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean that in a...
Sure.
I couldn't be like you, because when somebody doesn't pay me, I want to throw rocks through their window.
Right.
And then after that, I'm like, okay, we're fine. Just give me the check and I'll forget about all of it. You're not like that. You work with people.
Well, and I think that's where I had to learn, where I learned a lot is when I worked for Gold's Gym out in California, and when I was in Dallas working for Gold's Gym International, and I worked with all these health clubs, I had to go teach the trainers how to collect. And then we realized, hey, there's a bigger issue here. The trainers don't like doing that. It's not that they can or can't do it. They don't enjoy it. They want to just be personal with their customer, get them in shape, help them improve their lifestyle, and they don't want to do that. So what we did is we hired a personal training sales manager who was just in charge of that kind of operation, where they're in charge of the collections and making sure all the bills are paid and going up to Mr. and Mrs. Jones who owe $500 from their last personal training sessions and saying, hey, and that takes the trainer out of it, and all the trainer has to do is focus on
what they do,
what they do,
what
which
they
is
want to do.
right, which is why it's so hard for certain people in certain industries, specifically in an industry like that where you're so personal with your customers and you want repeat business. It is to, hey, I've had somebody doing that for me for so long. Now it's my business. Now I got to wear all the hats. I got to collect. I got to, get angry with the customer and tell them they need to pay, but also let them know that that's just how business works, and I hope to see them next month.
Right. Don't take this personally,
Yeah.
but I hate you. Give me my money. You give me my money? Thanks, bro.
Yeah, but I learned that through that industry, so when I am dealing with a customer when it comes to windows, and I do want them to come back for other things or give me referrals, I want to make sure I handle it in a way that they understand that, look, you owe this money now, it's no big deal, it's just business, you paid for a service, and now money's due, how can we make that happen? What do we need to do to, settle our bill here and get your invoice paid? And
well, I think to your point, though, we're all in that same situation because business is business, but business becomes personal when that's how you make your living, right? And if somebody doesn't pay you, it's insulting because you've done the work. You're not getting paid up front. You're doing the work, and then they're not paying. So it's almost like you don't respect my art, right?
Right.
You like art, don't you, Sarah?
I like art.
So that's the way I look at it. Whatever you're making or doing, that's what you've been contracted to do. You have an agreement, you don't get paid. That can ruin the experience of what you're making. Like, I know she's going to think I'm making this up, but I always say when we make these shows, this is my art to the world. People may not like it. They might not listen to it. I don't care. This is what I want to make and create content and put out. When we do that, I'm at my happiest because we get to make it. And we always get to talk to somebody new. So when you said art is a lot of different things, that's how I view this. We are creating something. What it looks like with Ryan's sweatshirt there, I don't know. But it's different every single time we do it. But I want to ask this question in regards to art. That's what your degree is in. A lot of people will say artists aren't good at making money. You've heard the term starving artist, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when you went to school to go, and you said, I want to be an art major, and people said, well, I hope your parents have done really well and they can leave you in the basement until you're 50, right? Did you look at it like, I'm going to make it despite what somebody thinks this degree really means?
I did.
So what? Well, she answered the question. What more can I say? But did you? I find it like there are people that are great artists, and I just look at what they make and I go, oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Well, I didn't necessarily know what my medium was going to be to survive off of. And it took me years from the time I graduated to now to figure out what my medium was.
Yeah, but you found out before you ran out of time, totally, right? So as long as you find where you're supposed to be,
yeah, it
doesn't matter what age, right?
No.
You can start a business at 21 or 61, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
See? I like that you're very succinct about it.
I just think, you have to believe in yourself. And, one thing, back to your getting paid, right?
It's just a hot button issue for me the last 2 weeks.
I will say for me, because I get it. It's hard to ask somebody for a sale. It's hard to ask get paid for something that you're passionate about. But I've just made it a policy to get paid before.
So your customers, you bill them up front.
Yeah.
So you don't do a monthly.
But I get that. But still, you're gonna tell me, nope, everybody's always paid and never had a problem. I'm saying in your business, your
the industry.
Well, the industry for one, where it's like, come in here, sign up here, and bring 35 of your friends and a goat, and it's all $10 a month, and they don't care because it's on your credit card. For you as an individual, if you don't get paid, that's how you make money, right?
Right.
But you still have to provide the service. You gotta. What do I want to say? What is it? Turn the other cheek if somebody hasn't paid you on time for 3 straight months, because your job is to make them the best version of them, right? So you have to kind of pour your soul into this person for a while. That's where I think it would get more personal, because our thing is not, we're making commercials. We're making the greatest radio that's ever been made right now. But you're working with somebody to make them their absolute best, and then they're kind of disrespecting you by not paying on time.
Have you had that by the way? Have you
Of
had
course she's
customers?
gonna say no, just to ruin exactly my whole setup.
No, I've never had that.
Well, but here's the thing: if you
No,
are
because
out of this show.
I have honestly set myself up so I wouldn't have to deal with that. I don't like asking people.
well,
for
it's
money.
like saying I know what the objection is, so I'm going to handle it before it becomes an issue.
Absolutely, and that was my business background.
But did you have that issue with it before you started your business, and that's how you knew, or you've seen it happen
well,
with other people?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've
All
seen
right,
that
that's all I
happen
wanted to
in
hear. Somebody owed her some money. That's
I've
it.
seen that happen in other industries, and I can see how people would be taken advantage of if.
Well, see, like a lot of trainers will sell, or like Pilates, yoga studios, they'll sell packages of, you know, especially if it's private sessions, things like that. 10 sessions for X amount, and you pay it in monthly things. Or you say, hey, I want you to sign up for 3 months, and each month you're billing them. You don't have memberships yet, right? Or do you even think you're going to go that route?
I haven't. I've toyed with that, and I sell packages, or I sell drop-in sessions.
So basically, someone buys a package, and then they use those sessions, and when it's up, they can buy more.
Yeah, and then I say, hey, and I have an automated system that sends them an email reminder.
Right.
You're getting low on your sessions. Time to add up.
Well, because I've worked with so many trainers and yogis and different people that really had this vision of wanting to own their own space. But they said they hate sales. And I'm like, well, then you need to hire a salesperson, or you got to get good at it or learn how to do it. And, that fear is what keeps people here. And when you're scared of something, for me, I love sales. I loved marketing and the whole idea of going out and getting business. That part wasn't scary for me. But then on the backside, dealing with, taxes and business side of things.
Don't pay them.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea. I'm just kidding. Please pay your taxes. Cheat the government, but pay them something. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I'm just saying, in every business, there's something that you may not either be good at, you don't know anything about, or it scares you. And I think people that are listening to this type of show, a small business show or an entrepreneur type show, I think the lesson there is you have to figure out what it is you're not good at and spend all your time and effort there, because the stuff you're already good at, you're already good at.
Yeah.
And you do that stuff because you like it. Like if I'm really good at the guitar, I play the guitar. And I don't like to go do the piano practice, but I don't do either of those things. But that's really
I was
bad.
going to say, are you opening up a piano player? Are you trying to get a cheap plug in here?
Yeah. Yeah, I got my own band. You didn't know that?
Boy.
Oh, that's terrible. I do want to ask this though. So, it's just you. It's because I know there's no other underscore people that you've mentioned so far. If you were to grow, is that something that you want? Do you know what your max capacity could be? Because you're running this more the way you want it. But if it was something that really blew up, would you have 2 or 3 centers, or do you just want to be the only person that touches these people? I said that the wrong way. The only person that works with these people.
So, I have realized that I can't be everywhere and train as much as I'd like sometimes. So I've created a certification program, and I have some people going through it right now. So I'm creating instructors, some who will teach for me.
So the certification program is something where they will pay to take that course with you.
Correct.
And are you working with them? Or are you going to have video series? And we kind of talked a little bit about this before.
I'm not planning to have a video series necessarily as a
So they're going to be working with you
training
specifically.
modality. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they've trained with me for the last several months. We usually do a weekend a month, 6 to 8 hours each session, and then they're in my studio all the time, observing, practicing themselves, practicing on other people, and.
Well, do you see yourself? The only reason I was asking, like, do you see yourself going the route where you eventually have people working for you at your own studio, and you're more or less managing, or because I got to think that getting up at 4 o'clock every morning for the rest of your life is going to be a little taxing.
Yeah, no, I think that's the end goal. I don't know. I'm still toying with the idea of what that broader picture is going to look like. So right now my goals are just a little bit smaller, just within the next 6 months to a year, and that's just kind of how I'm approaching it, and that's how I've I've operated with my growth plan from the last 2 years on is just looking forward to 6 months, looking forward to a
Do
year.
you find that as like the exciting part of being a business owner, where it's like, I really don't know what next year brings, but I'm excited to create it as we go?
Absolutely.
Because I know that scares a lot of people just in general, like not having a specific, business plan. Some people have to have that, and so because they work on that for so long, they'll never quit their job, they'll never open their business because they haven't finished their business plan. And then some people get fired and they're like, well, I got to make some money, and they start something and
Those are my favorite.
they grow.
Starting, I think that gives you entry into what you want to do anyway.
Yeah.
I recommend get fired if you can. But I told you the story, Ryan. I was trying to get fired so I could get a severance, so I had some seed money to start this thing.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, with my last business, I literally quit. Then I got hired back, and then I tried to quit. Then I tried to quit. Then I got fired, but then they hired me back, and then I tried to quit. Like, it was like I kept trying to like not work there, but they kept saying, "Well, we'll pay you this. We'll pay you this. We'll
It's
keep
like trying to quit the mob. Yes,
Right.
you can leave. We need you to drive this car.
Right.
Don't look in the trunk. They just keep bringing you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're used to making a certain amount of money, and then you're like, well, if I quit, then there's just so many different things. But I fired myself like 6 times before I
I
finally
tried to fire you 3 weeks ago
You're gonna fire me after this show.
from this show.
No, I see fear standing in the way of people starting a business or starting something all the time. And it was really through movement that I was able to just turn in and like listen to my own thoughts and have a conversation with myself about, okay, like this, yoga flow I'm doing, or this class I'm taking, or these weights that I'm lifting, or this marathon I'm running, or whatever is really hard, and I'm really scared, and I don't know if I'm going to get through it. But seeing that I was able to get through all of these different things despite fear, despite anything else, and being able to accomplish those, really those were metaphors for my life.
Would you find yourself ever getting to a point, even now? How long have you been in business?
Almost 2 years total since I became
100% on your own.
Almost on my own.
Right.
100% on my own for almost like a year and 4 months.
In the entire time that you've created your LLC, that you've started your business, have you got to any point where you almost got kind of worried and you thought about getting a second job just for financial reasons, or have you always been comfortable with where you're at right now?
No, I haven't thought about it.
Well, the reason I ask you is because when
I like her face. She was like, maybe I need that.
Maybe I should.
Oh,
well,
God.
everybody's
No,
different. Like,
no.
when I quit my job, I had a certain amount of debt, car payments, insurance, and different things. And, when you quit your job, you still have responsibilities, but there's no more money coming in. And I didn't have, I could take out a business loan, things like that, but I was, didn't have a business plan. I just, fired myself basically. And I found myself working to build this window company and do my life coaching and different things. And I'm going, I'm not making enough money to cover all my responsibilities because I didn't really plan this right. So I had 2 options: to either work harder or figure this out, or go either get another job or go back to the place. Well, go get a job or continue working on the business. And the option that I would not do and that kept pushing me is the easiest option was going back to where I just left, because that's instant paycheck.
Right.
And out of spite, and I shouldn't say, I don't know if spite's the right word, but like out of the idea that I did not want to go back to where I had quit, it put fire under my butt to keep working harder. But there's times where I was in tears because I'm going, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this week. And, what am I going to eat this week? I'm at the gas station, getting some water. I'm like, wait, I'll fill up my water bottle.
I had water last month.
Yeah. But it's real, and it motivates a lot of people. It inspires people to just, man, I got to figure this out. And then also, some people, it breaks them, and they give up on it, or they take a step back, and they get a second job or whatever they need to do. So I just didn't know, in your time off 100% on your own, when your partner kind of left the studio, or you had your own space, and you're like, all right, well, because you took out a loan, right? Because you have to
Yeah.
pay that back, right? You know that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
already did.
What if she
Paid
was
it off.
like, no, I gotta pay them back? What? Chase needs money? I hear they're doing well.
Paid it all off last month. No, it's. I think it was just for me, sink or swim. Like, it's survival mode, and
So your mind
now or
didn't even
never.
go that way. You just were
No,
like, hey, I'm here where I'm
just,
supposed to
gonna
be and
do
keep
it.
grinding.
No, and I had a lot of things happening in my life last year that should have prevented me from excelling in my career, should have taken me down.
So you had a lot of
and
trials, a lot of different things coming at you at the same
a
time.
lot.
Are
of
these
things.
personal things? Could you detail them? Our listeners love controversy. I'm just kidding.
So-
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I would say in the last 2 years, a lot of things, personal and professional. I became an LLC, and I had a studio I worked for who was threatened, thinking that I was going to take their business and start a studio to kind of rival their business, and it's like, no, that's not the case. It's really just because of my income level and,
For taxes,
for taxes. So I experienced all of that. I went through a divorce. So
Congratulations.
that was difficult.
Mike doesn't know anything about that.
Well, we'll say, I'm lucky. It ended up being a very amicable divorce, and
So
I
all
have
of that's
two
happening
great
when
kids.
you're starting your business.
So all of this was happening, in the last, 2 years, and moving out. It just a lot of stressors in my life. Not having family in town.
Well, because in the first segment, it sounds kind of like, oh, well, I was married, I had a kid, and so I just decided, well, I didn't want to go back to work. I'll just start. It seemed really easy, but in reality, there was a lot of tribulation. There was a lot of trials.
A lot of hurdles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, I'm just passionate about what I do, and I have a really strong work ethic, and I believe in myself, and I just kept going for it, and my clients.
As a business owner, how
Kept
many
referring.
hours a day do you think you work? I'm talking
Oh,
checking emails.
every
responding-
She
day.
works at
A
4 a.m., so I
day?
think
I
she's
mean,
working 28 hours
I
a day.
feel like my mind is always
Now, do
working.
you enjoy that?
I love it.
Isn't that crazy?
I
Because I
love
know,
it.
Mike, we always talk about when we have customers on, or customers, we have guests on here. If you were to work that many hours and get up for somebody else, you'd be miserable.
Totally.
But when you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't seem like work.
No.
Like I'm laying in bed checking, responding to emails at 11 o'clock at night, but then 5 a.m. I'm, doing work. But it's stuff that I know has to get done, and I enjoy it.
But it's different because the possibilities are endless, and it's yours.
Right.
When you work for somebody else and they say it's 8:30 to 5:30, I'm gonna get there at 8:35 and I'm gonna leave at 5:15. I'm gonna do that until you tell me I can't, because you set rules and those expectations kind of give you a barrier that you can't cross. You can only go so far. When you're on your own, it's 100% your world and you can make it how you want it. Not every day will be great. Sometimes you're gonna get kicked in your face for 4 or 5 straight days to win for 1 hour. But that 1 hour was worth it.
Right. Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Or is that not an artistic way to say it?
No, I totally agree.
We
with
used to
that.
use that analogy in wrestling all the time. I mean, a wrestling match could take 2 minutes, but you've just spent, the last 3 months working towards that one match. And it's like I've spent sweat, blood, tears, hours and hours and hours, and it was all over in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you win or you lose. But if you win, that 2 minutes was worth, the hundreds and hundreds of hours you put in towards it. And just an amazing feeling when you start becoming successful, and not just your business and the monetary success, but how you feel and seeing the different people you're helping and seeing what you're creating and what you're growing, and it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it's very rewarding, and I'm lucky I get to do what I love, and so I pour everything into it.
Do you have any big advice you would give somebody that's out there that is kind of on the fence of starting their own business?
Gosh, just you're really only given one chance. So if you feel like you're gonna have regrets not starting something,
When you say one chance, you don't mean one chance to start a business.
She means you only get one shot.
One
Like
opportunity.
Eminem. Yeah. Spaghetti. That's what she means.
Are you gonna start rapping Eminem? No, I mean it's.
You mean one
just,
shot at life or one shot at starting a business, or
I mean,
just?
kind of both. Like
Yeah.
like for me, I saw the opportunity was presenting itself, and I realized, okay, now this is my time to do it. Do everything you can to educate yourself and build relationships and stay true to yourself, and
I like that. So like,
go for
just
it.
stay true to who you are.
Exactly.
You're not doing it for the money.
No, I mean the money's a benefit, but I mean I'm not making
Like you didn't go into
$1,000,000.
business going, I'm going to be a millionaire.
No,
You
no,
did it because
no,
this
no.
is something you really are passionate
No,
about.
I'm very
That
passionate.
makes you wanted a tax write-off for the reformer.
Right.
That's all we have time for this week. But Sarah, please tell people again, how can they reach you?
So they can reach me through Instagram.
They can
They can
DM you.
They can DM me through
Please
Instagram.
send her all the DMs you can.
No. And they can reach me through phone number 614-404-0485. I love the smirk. And yeah, I do have a website. It's my name, SaraOrtlip.com.
I think, is there any other method? What's your MySpace handle?
I never had MySpace. And yeah.
Ryan,
That's
do you
all
want to
Mike
give
uses.
your Tinder profile or anything before we leave?
You can watch this live on your MySpace.
I will be. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna bring it back. That's all we have time for this week on the 101, brought to you by Whiteside Chrysler Dodge Jeep. We will see you next weekend. Well done. Was that painless or what?